Hello everyone and welcome back to Tarot and Torch. Today's video is really just talking about the goals that I have for 2026 and a little bit of a recap of kind of what was going on in 2025 so that you can kind of understand where I'm heading with the goals that I have for this year. I know not everyone likes to plan their goals in the beginning of the year. I keep mine rather open and fluid. I have kind of a starting point and where I really want to jump off and keep it a bit with the understanding that I may come back and kind of tweak and fix and edit these goals. So that's really where I'm coming from with this. So this is the back of my journal, by the way. So 2025 was definitely a year of shedding. There was a lot happening. It was also the year of the snake, the wood snake, and we had just come from the year of the dragon before that. So there was this feeling of kind of sinking down into myself, there was this feeling of sinking down into myself and needing to do so much structural kind of work in my life. And that was from every level, from physically to emotionally to spiritually. Just everything in my life needed to be restructured, and it did. A lot of it did become restructured. I really also took that time to go into my own cave of realization, for lack of a better term. And I needed to do this in order to understand what I needed to change and what direction was really the most important for me. And right before 2025, I had this moment of just almost a NUI, and I felt that I needed to really do something about it. And it was then that I started listening to very empowering music. With my Venus being in Aries, I need to have something that sets a literal spark in me to create change. And it wasn't even intentional. I kind of just stumbled upon music that I needed, and that I hadn't heard for a very long time, and that I didn't really know that I needed. So music became something that really woke me up in a sense, and really transformed my energy and prepared me for that change that I needed, and really just gave me motivation when I didn't feel I had any, to really get up and move, because that's often the problem, is that when we need to change, the reason why we're not changing isn't because we don't always know what to do or the way, but it's because we don't have the energy, we don't have the motivation. So for me, music at that point was a spiritual tool, and it really elevated my entire being and made me realize that I can change my life. And so it was a very illuminating time. And in that illumination, I realized that my physical body was something that was an issue that I needed to fix. And I had a lot of health kind of issues around that time. I found out I was anemic, and not just a little bit, but a lot. And I'm someone who was completely vegan for a long time and then ended up going pescatarian, and that seemed to be my comfort place. But I haven't consumed red meat since I was in 9th grade. So it's been a very long time. I had 2 healthy births without eating meat, and doctors always were checking to make sure that my iron levels were okay. And in fact, most of my life, my iron was very, very high for a woman, I've been told. So I never had any issues with iron at all. And so this is a bit personal and TMI, but at this age, I did discover that I was anemic. And so from there, I had to make all kinds of lifestyle changes, and I did. And I also kind of synchronistically had begun studying herbalism and taking courses, and now I understand a lot more about my body, my needs, my nutrition, and I feel much better overall. I lost a tremendous amount of weight in 2025, which, was a shedding year. So that was a physical thing for me, as well as all of the other kind of layers that came along with that. When you change your physical reality, often it is because of something else that has changed within you. So, health was a big deal, and really also helped me to enjoy life more after I kind of got these things addressed and began to go about other pieces of my life that needed work. So I also spiritually did a lot of healing around religious trauma, and I'm not free of that completely, but there was a lot of healing that happened around it, and understanding that I even needed the healing. So I really took a deep dive into Gnosticism, into the Kabbalah, and a lot of other esoteric knowledge that helped me tremendously feel that I had more chains to break. And it was very therapeutic. It also just, again, kind of opened my eyes to so many things, and it's amazing how much these topics are connected to other things that I've already learned or seen or experienced in my life. Because I've always been someone who understood, mythology and esoteric teachings. As a young child, I was very interested in these topics, but it clicked in a way for me this year in 2025, that how interconnected everything is and everyone is. So in any case, that was a very beautiful learning experience on that spiritual level. Emotionally, I healed a lot of deep family wounds. I have had family issues in my life since I was born, and a lot of loss, a lot of sickness, a lot of not particularly me, but being around others that were sick in hospitals and such. A lot of pain, separation, just deep wounds. And so I did a lot of healing around that, and found deity work to be very helpful there, and also, of course, with the other things that I was doing, learning about. So 2025 was a huge, important year, and then on top of all of this, there was the physical home situation, which we were out of our home for months, and that was jarring, that was uncomfortable and frustrating and uncertain, and just there's so much that actually went along with that I wasn't expecting. And once we got through and to the other side of that and came back home, life took on a whole new routine, which was much better for us all, and I feel that we're much happier as a result. So many things happened in 2025, and now that brings me to 2026. So my goals for this year is to basically kind of continue the things that I started in 2025, because I don't feel that I need to complete. Basically, I want to continue what I started in 2025 because I don't feel the need to change or destroy any of that. I do feel that the changes that I made were working, that they are working. I do want to adjust certain things. So I want to be more organized in all levels, which is constantly a battle. I need to organize my apothecary space. For instance, I am an herbalist and I have my own apothecary, and so I need to organize that space a bit more. As I mentioned, when we had our house kind of situation happening, that made it a little unorganized in that space that was organized. So I need to go back and really organize that area, but also just the rest of my life, you know, such as content and things like that. I need to be less spontaneous and a little more organized with. So I also, with my health, I want to continue the workouts that I've been doing. But I want to increase them because they are working, but I still want to challenge my body more. You know, I am 40 years old, so I need to take care of myself and be there for my kids and have a healthier life, really, which also helps them in turn. So I need to focus more on that and continue the work that I've been doing, which has been tremendously useful. Spiritually, I want to work more with the Morrigan, as I mentioned. I feel that she's coming through to really give me some strength and empowerment. This year is the year of the Fire Horse, and I do feel that she's there to give me some stronger and more blunt energy, because that is something that I struggle with. There's been times where I should have told people to F off and I didn't, and I feel that she's going to really kind of make that something that is easier for me to do this year. So there is that, but also I feel that there is something connected to the land, and I do have a lot of Irish bloodline ancestry on both sides of my family, and I actually felt very attracted to the Morrigan even when I was younger, and I had a lot of Crow jewelry and iconography and things that really drew me to her, and I read about her first when I was in high school. So I've always felt drawn to her and have worked with her some, but really this year I feel that she's coming through in a much stronger way. So I want to really get my boundaries cleaned up and my sense of inner power and strength. I also want to connect more with the genus Loci in my area, because I have been very connected to the land over the last 2 years. I've done a lot of foraging, and I take my children into the woods and we spend hours there. But I want to be more intentional with leaving offerings, being more interactive with the genus Loci, really meditating more on them and hearing their voices more clearly. So that's something that I want to do. With my tarot and oracle practice, a lot of that I want to keep the same, or, you know, relatively, I mean, the same. I still want to draw daily cards. I want to continue doing monthly pulls and journaling, and I want to continue doing spreads like this, which was the New Year's Eve spread. And I still want to do all of the things that I have been, but I want to make it more a part of every day, because even though I draw daily cards, I don't always reflect as much and write as much as I should and really dig into it as much as I should. So I want to make that more of a goal. And to work with the decks that I already have. I did get a lot of new decks over the end of 2025, so I want to try to focus more on the decks that I have, which is an ongoing focus. I remember starting off with just one deck for many, many years, and now it's kind of wild to think that I have so many. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I do want to start really thinking more about the decks that I have and using them more, the older decks. And I want to continue my studies with herbalism. That has been very important to me and has become a part of my, not just my spiritual practice as it has been for many years, but more of a business as well. And I want to continue to expand that and continue helping people and digging into different remedies and honing my craft. And finally, just connecting more with people. I've been getting that message spiritually for a long time that I need to get out of my shell and interact more with groups and people one-on-one. 2025 was a very shut down, quiet year, and 2026 is not looking that way. So these are my goals for this year. I hope that it gives you some inspiration, or some of it may have been interesting to you, or just was relaxing in some way and you got something out of it. I would love to hear what your goals are, or if you have thought of your goals or not yet, if you're feeling compelled to come up with some goals for the new year. And feel free to also, do a VR to this video if you want. And I will talk to all of you very, very soon.